Hello to all the comic fans, Marvel geeks, and all the nerds in between. Today we are going to break down the 7th episode of What If Season 3. And when I say we, I mean myself, Meg Nicole from Vigilante Vibes Podcast, and LJ and Wen from Bleeding Rainbow Comics. Gentlemen.
Hello, that's us. I'm going to take our cue this time instead of awkward silences. I'm LJ, this is Wen. If you don't know us by now, then you're not watching any of our videos or Megan's videos, so what are you doing with your life?
It's true, but better late than never. I do recommend getting to know these guys because they're awesome.
As are you.
So
That sounded so disingenuous. Megan is also very awesome.
we're all very awesome. We're just very tired. But
yes.
it will be perked up with this episode because I actually really like this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 7th episode titled What If the Watcher Disappeared? And it was wild to say the least. To get into the story, the meat of it all, beginning in the reality first seen in What If Season 2 where Nebula became Nova Prime, Captain Carter arrives in the King the Conqueror's time sphere along with her new team of multiversal protectors to save this alternate Xandar from the interdimensional squid monster known as Hydra's champion. First seen in What If Season 1. Captain Carter's allies include Cahorty, Birdie the duck, Howard and Darcy's powerful daughter. We were all there for the birth or egg, whatever it was. Storm,
For
the
hatching.
goddess. I don't know what it was. It was a lot. I'm still a little confused about what I saw.
It's a 2-stage process.
I mean,
You
like
get
I've given
laid,
birth
and then you get
before,
hatched.
and it was just like, that's not what I went through. But who am I to judge? And Storm, the goddess of thunder, and her mighty hammer, Mjolnir itself. After defeating Hydra's champion, shards from the observational plane fall from the sky, alerting the team that the Watcher is in trouble. The Eminence takes over the Watcher's narration, which was weird, confirming that he and his fellow Watchers are sworn to protect their order, not only to observe. As such, the Watcher's allies will pay their hearsay should they try to rescue him. Planning to access the observational plane located in the 5th dimension, the team of heroes repurpose the shards using the multiple pieces of the advanced tech to serve as a power source for their ship, as well as using Storm's divine power, but both attempts sadly fail. With one shard left, the team decides to find a variant of Infinity Ultron, the only being who successfully accessed the 5th dimension, one who obliterated his universe using the Infinity Stones, but never heard the Watcher's voice. Fearing that she could lose her friends, Peggy, just the Girl Scout of it all, faces Infinity Ultron alone, only to be captured by the Eminence. That's what you get, Peggy. Realizing what Peggy did, Cahorty, Storm, and Birdie confront and attack Ultron. They don't want that smoke, but they wanted that smoke. Who eventually explains what happened to Peggy and agrees to help them access the observational plane.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, but there was no weird names this time, so I was perfectly fine. So.
But they spell Birdie with a Y. We're getting fancy.
What do we think of Birdie?
I liked Birdie.
I do too.
Yeah.
My only complaint about Birdie is she was
No,
born...
we don't want to hear complaints. Birdie is now probably the top character in the MCU.
Well, you like that actress that voices her anyway, so...
I'm sure that has nothing to do with it.
He's been saying... No. He's been saying all week, Natasha's going to be in What If soon. And I was like, yeah. He's like, she's going to play Howard the Duck's child. I was like, I know you said it yesterday. So it might have something to do with the actress.
The only gripe I have is she was born with blue feathers and hair, and now she's like red toned.
I wonder if it's
Also,
age.
if you look, I
mean,
think also
probably,
because
but...
when babies are born, a lot of their features aren't the like real color. So like their eye colors will change and their hair colors will change.
Well, I mean,
but like in Natasha's, Birdie's, in her hair, you still see kind of like those light white, blue highlights at the end.
And I mean, with ducks, because I used to raise ducks.
They molt. Their adult feathers
they
are
have
different.
down, so
She also could have dyed it.
So you just
So
You just proved your own thing.
I know, but I feel like it should still be blue.
I kind of
No.
would have dug the blue. The blue was cute.
No.
But Wonder
Ginger.
Blue was just baby. It
Needs
was just
to.
like a baby thing.
Yeah.
It was.
They
She
that
hadn't
was-
molted yet. Ew.
I want to see
like-
teenage her molting.
Ew.
I liked her dynamic with her parents. Also, Darcy, I need to
Mhm.
know where you can find pastries that will make you lose weight.
Right? Yeah, I need those donuts ASAP.
I'll
I
move
s-
universes.
Right. My gosh. So, what did we think of the team?
I thought the team was awesome. Like, I know that you think Captain Carter is overexposed, which maybe she is, but you're wrong. But I like her. But of the four, she is my least favorite. But it's not because I don't like her, but it's because I like the other ones so much. And I love Cohorty. I'm glad that she's back. I loved Birdie. Like, I wasn't sure where they were going with it before this episode, but I really liked Birdie. Also, Storm in any form is fantastic, and I don't even think that she needed Mjolnir. Because she didn't act any different, or her powers
No.
weren't like.
It was nice to see an actual X-Men interacting with MCU characters.
Yeah.
Not just the like 97 X-Men, but like we're actually in it. Like we have her interacting with other MCU people. We're getting X-Men in there.
And since Cohorty got her own comic, I need Birdie to get her own comic as well. And I want it to be about growing up with Darcy and Howard the Duck as parents.
Yeah.
I kind of want it to be with her as an adult with like the occasional annoying phone call from Howard and
Yeah.
Darcy. She's like, "Oh my God, what? Yes, I'll be home for Christmas."
I don't know.
I did
really liked her
appreciate
character.
how the wings went into her arms like tattoos.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
It was interesting.
And of course, if it's Natasha Lyonne, of course they'll make her superpowers tattoos. But
I'm still trying to figure out what her real like. I'm so tired of just the laser coming out of people's foreheads.
I
She
know.
needed it.
I thought the same thing when they were fighting Ultron. I was like, okay, like I need to see
Yeah.
something else. Like, you have a pretty stacked team there. Let's get a little
Mhm.
more creative, not like the whole Vision vibes where everyone's just shooting out their forehead. Let's do
Yeah,
something
like
else.
I need like actual power bases. Like Cohorty, she also just has like a blast.
Yeah.
And like
she's
I know
got
she does
portals and stuff.
I know she has portals, but like I want designated like specialty, I guess, and powers on what they can do.
Yeah, I don't
It's
want
not
them
just
all to look
basic
like they're doing the
blast.
same.
Yeah. It's all just blasts with different colors. Like I need it to do things.
No, it did things to me. I liked it.
Like it'd be cool if she had like a healing factor, like she could heal other people or something.
Cohorty probably could. I don't know about Birdie. I think you're asking too much from a child of Howard the Duck and Darcy. I think that having her be super smart was a good idea. I did like that.
Yeah,
having
I
her be
did.
like the group mechanic.
Yeah, that made sense.
Very
She did very
Darcy.
much give vibes of
Mhm.
the Mandalorian mechanic that Din Djarin goes to see.
Oh yeah.
She reminded me a lot of her. And I wonder if that was like the inspiration for that character. Like,
Ooh.
let's do it, but make it Marvel.
Do we think Natasha will be Birdie in the MCU because she is supposed to be in Fantastic Four?
See,
I
don't
hope
know.
so. I don't think so
I don't
because
think
I
so
don't know how
either.
they would make it work. Like maybe she's an offhanded character in the Fantastic Four universe and we just never see her again. But that would be sad. I would hope that if she's getting
Nah.
introduced into the MCU that she'd be a reoccurring character.
I think that she's playing
she should
somebody
be the
else.
face of the MCU, honestly.
I think she's playing somebody else in the Fantastic Four, and they were just like, "Well, hey, we have her.
We
Let's
have her in the
voice
studio. Let's have her
this
do
character."
some lines.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's sad though, because I really like Birdie.
I do too. Marvel is known for double dipping. They have
Mm-hmm.
Hawkeye's wife. She plays Rocket the Raccoon's little love interest otter thing.
Lila.
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 Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So like they do that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Oh no,
smart.
though, because they used her face. So that's what makes it different.
I just don't think we're going to see her outside of this show anymore. I think this is it. other than maybe comic books or something if she does get popular. But I don't think they're going to bring her into the MCU.
Could be
Natasha
other
Lyonne
shows.
or Birdie?
Birdie.
Could be other shows. I mean, you have Marvel Zombies, all these other random shows coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think she'll stay in animation. I don't think they'll use her for that character in the MCU.
I mean, maybe she'll be the mechanic for the Fantastic Four car. She'll like.
We know. We're all pushing
I
for
like
you. But let's be honest.
She's in the movie regardless.
This probably means we're getting a comic about her soon because they did the same thing with Cohorty, which I like. So if there's enough interest for her, if there's enough interest,
I don't see her getting her own, but I see her being incorporated into another story.
And I like Howard the Duck, so I'm all for.
I don't either, but like he's still a classic
I love Darcy though,
character.
and I love Natasha Lyonne, so this works.
That's why I like him, because I have memories growing up with my mom watching that '80s Howard the Duck movie.
So some of his forced watches were trauma, and some of them were nostalgia.
So
yeah,
he has a special place.
Well, I mean, that's a better reaction. Gross. And a better reaction than you're watching the old westerns with your granddad.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I would love to see more of her. I'm glad that this episode is a two-parter like we thought. That means that all of these characters and this scenario is going to keep going. It's actually what I like most about this episode is that it felt the most relevant to the show. And that we were going somewhere and I liked all the characters and we got to spend time with the characters. We got to see their personalities shine through. I felt like I got some quality time.
I wish we had gotten a little bit of this more through the other episodes too. Like I know we kind of got it with Howard. What if Darcy married Howard? That episode because we got Birdie. But like in the other seasons, it seemed like there was more like little Easter eggs to leading up to the big story, I guess, in the other seasons. And this one is just, it kind of feels like the last couple episodes. Like, oh, this is what's going on. Story-wise.
It seems to be more tying back with the other seasons as opposed to the other episodes within the same season.
Yeah.
Plus Birdie. And if that's all we got from it, then that's okay.
That's okay. For me, this one felt less like What If and more storyline driven to the watcher, which there's two really random things about What If is that you have a what if scenario. What if this happened? What if that happened? And then you have... There's this like underlying main storyline that involves the watcher. And I feel like this was a part of that, which is great.
100%.
Totally cool. But the first episode of the season was neither of those. So I think that's where
what I'm... There's no through line of all of the episodes of one little thing for the bigger story of it.
They took the micro stories and the big story and like separated them completely this season as opposed to the other seasons where they, like you said, threaded it through. Yeah. Which maybe that's why I like this episode, because I was already invested in this story. And so I was like, oh, something familiar. And the other things, they very much felt like after 20 minutes, they weren't relevant anymore.
I think
now we can move on to the next. And now we could move on to the next episode and kind of forget about the previous episode.
Yeah, I think just having that little bit of through line with all the episodes, though, gives purpose to why are we visiting these what if stories.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed. Holy crap. I agree with that completely.
That's what the writer's room wanted to write.
It's like they just make a bunch and they're like, okay, guys, who likes this episode? Raise your hand. And there's just always the oddballs that are like, oh, no, I'm into the kaiju thing. You're like, just shut the fuck up. Get out. But I loved seeing Storm. There's been some interesting things in, not the news, it's not that big of a deal, but online about the director saying that he was kind of pissed because he didn't know that Marvel Studios had the rights to the X-Men characters, or he would have put Wolverine. How is that true if you have Storm?
Right.
How is that true if they made X-Men 97? How is it true?
Oh, my phone. Yeah, I don't...
Well, the thing specifically said Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, so maybe that was the hang-up. Like, he didn't want any Wolverine, he wanted Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Well, then he said something else, saying he would have put more mutants in it, in a different quote, because he said he would have added more if he knew they had the rights, but he didn't know. And it's like, how did you not know,
but you
though?
had Storm. Yeah.
Maybe he just asked about Storm, and he was like, I know we're making X-Men 97. Can I just use Storm? Is that allowed? Maybe he didn't really ask past that. I don't know.
Well, if you also look in this episode, you'll see that you could see Scarlet Witch, you could see Wolverine, you could see Rogue, all in the little foosball players. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you knew something, buddy. Like, I've
Yeah.
been sitting
Well,
on
it
this.
could also have been.
I've been
Because this
sitting on
was
this
at the
for
end
like,
of the season.
yeah.
So maybe it was when they were writing the other episodes and like even into season 2, like maybe that's what he meant. Like he would have incorporated them sooner had he had more. I don't know.
I just think if
Maybe
you're
there's
making,
more context to it.
if you're
Either
making what
way-
if, like, wouldn't you ask
Yeah.
those questions?
Yeah, like that's what I was about to say.
Oh,
Is
okay,
like,
sorry.
okay, if I am making an MCU thing or a Marvel thing at all, I'm gonna go directly to like Feige and be like, all right, what can I play with? Like, give me everybody you can give me, just so I know who I'm working with.
And the question is, how do we make Natasha Lyonne and a Marvel character with the characters that we have to play with?
I do have a question for you, Megan.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Because they've been leaning into Storm being more of like a witch lately in like the comics, and like with this, it was more witchy vibes, I guess. How do you feel about her being more
Mystic.
pushed into the mystic realms more than the mutant realms? I'm not sure if I like it.
I kind of like it because she has called herself a mutant, but it's clear she sees herself as so much more than a mutant. Because at the end of the day, we all call her a goddess, but she's not a goddess. She's not. So I
Shut your
think,
mouth.
well, in our heart, she's a goddess. Thor even said, "You're a goddess," but it's clear she's not. So I think her wearing many hats is important for her character.
Okay.
I also think that it differentiates her from Thor a little bit more, and that's even more evident as she was this episode's Thor. Like she was still different. But I mean, prior to lately, it was just she was called the Weather Witch.
Yeah,
but now it's
just
more
a title,
of a.
and I don't like that they lean into it.
I do, because I don't know. There's always been something mystical about her power, but it's just never really been defined other than controlling elements.
Well, she has always been able to connect with nature, be one with the feeling. Like she can feel the breeze, she can feel everything, which is very, very witch-like. So it makes
Green
sense.
Witch.
I mean, it makes sense to why they would call her a witch. I just don't like that they're making it seem more like it's a power. Like instead of a mutant power, it's like a mystic power.
Well, I think for this episode, I actually think that was more of the Thor side of her.
Yeah.
I don't think that it was the Storm side, because she was calling on, oh my God. First, she was calling on like All Father, All Mother, Yggdrasil, all of that good. Like she was calling the Thor places. She wasn't calling, I don't know, thunder, lightning, help me do this. She was very much, and Thor's like the tree of Yggdrasil. Like that is magic.
I get it.
And so I think that she was channeling the Norse magic and not her mutant ability.
But I will say, in X-Men 97, there was some time where they were pushing a witchy vibe for her because she didn't have that mutant ability. So I think they're like, we can't make her just Storm. It's like, first of all, she'll never be just Storm. Calm down.
Right.
So I see what Wen is saying.
Respect on it.
Right.
As in, you need just Storm. That's all you need.
Yeah.
But no, I loved how extra she was in this episode, and I really love how, even though we're trying to modernize these characters and bring them into a more realistic setting in the realistic setting, that her over-the-top extra-ness, I love that they're not shying away from it. They seem to be leaning into it, and that's what I need from Storm.
Yeah.
Because my biggest worry about Storm is that they're going to, like, desaturate her and make her not as, like, stoic. And...
Oh, yeah. When she's live action, she better bring it just as extra as she does in these cartoons.
Well, maybe that's how they're explaining why she talks how she talks. Yeah. They're like, it's like a witchy command.
Pulling that drag queen.
Yes. And I I don't know. I really hope that they don't veer away from it because that is part of Storm. She is extra as hell. She's over the top.
She absolutely is. And, like, you know, props to Halle Berry for doing what she could, but that wasn't Storm.
Yeah.
Like, that was...
No,
was
no
like
props to her. She gave up on the accent immediately.
She... I don't even know if she was given an accent. I don't know if she knew who Storm was.
She tried it in the first episode, or in the first
she?
movie, and then after that,
Yeah.
she was like, I'm
Just
not
Hallie.
trying to do that accent anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just Storm, just living my life. Hashtag blessed. That's
Yeah,
what
I
she
hate
was.
that.
I hated that. God. But I thought this was a good episode. Freaking Peggy was like, I'm going to go put myself in danger for the good of my friends. I could just ask them for help. It'd probably be a lot easier, but no. I'm going to go do it myself. It's very Steve Rogers.
And fail.
Huh? And fail.
And
It's
fail.
like, dude, I will say I liked the Watcher's powers. It looked very Sunspot from X-Men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
did
like
like
that. It has a name, that black bubble style. I forget it's who invented it, but it was an
Me,
old.
I did.
It's an
You're
old
welcome.
comic book
it's the
artist,
LJ.
and it's named after him. But I forget the name.
Ditko?
I don't know.
I didn't know it had a
A lot of
name.
that stuff kind of looks like that.
Yeah, it does. It actually has a name. That style.
I call it negative energy bubbles.
I mean, that's what they are.
Yeah.
I just say Sunspot.
But I
and
liked it.
everyone
I
knows.
also, I don't think that we're ever going to get live action Sunspot in any meaningful way. So for them to at least reference it, like, I'll take it.
I mean, we did get a live action Sunspot, but then you added in a meaningful way, and I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, that's like calling any of the Gambits in a meaningful way. That it doesn't count.
Channing Tatum counts. You leave him alone. And
I
Taylor.
mean, he is my preferred Gambit, but
Taylor-
I didn't like the first one whatsoever.
I did. I
So
thought
you
it was
don't
a
even
good
remember his name. That's how
it's a weird
insignificant he
last
was.
name. I can think it, but it's like Shersh. Look,
Worcestershire.
I'm not. What? Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Go watch our casting video for X-Men.
Shameless plug.
We're really good at saying names and coming up with good ideas. But I liked them, so meh.
Anywho, back to the
Anywho.
episode.
Back to the episode. So, what do we think's going to happen tomorrow? Because there's not. It's not really even a title.
No,
What
it's
if,
not.
what if?
What if?
Yeah.
What if?
What if?
I have no idea. I don't even have. I've been racking my brain because I knew it was going to lead up to this whole show before it even started airing. I was like, all right, we got to have an ending to this series. They're done with it. And what if is obviously an ending title.
What if had a season 4?
So I cannot think of anything. I do not know where this is leading, which is refreshing.
It's literally just a season 4 announcement. It has the whole opening of The Watcher, and then it just says season 4 coming 2029.
Do you think
Yeah.
maybe they'll like depower him and he'll just have to live as like a normal dude?
I hate that. I don't want that.
What if they merge with the
With him.
MCU?
Yeah.
Just throw him in there. Or they assign him to the MCU Earth. He's
Yeah,
like,
616.
fresh start. This is your last chance.
Yeah,
I'd be fine with that.
I would too, because it's
But
all
no.
connected. He was in, the Watcher was in X-Men 97.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But bare bones, we know
I mean-
Peggy is going to probably be tied up like Uatu is. And then the other people will go arrive, try to
Yeah.
save her.
And it's
I assume that because they're Watchers, there will be a little less fighting and a little more talking. And then they'll fight, or vice versa.
what? This isn't going to happen. But you know how there was that scene
But what if?
with the Watchers with Stan Lee in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
What if they turned him into Stan Lee? And like that's the scene we saw.
You get to watch from Earth.
Oh, that'll be sad. Today's Stan's birthday.
Oh, is it?
Is it?
Well, happy birthday, Stan.
Happy birthday, Stan.
I mean, I
Thanks.
actually wouldn't hate that. That would make sense on why he was cameoing in so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like, he's just a
so
watcher
you
in
have to walk
disguise.
the earth as one of them and watch.
That would be
That'd
a
be
really good way to keep that cameo going. Like in X-Men 97, how you just saw the outline in the background and it was never talked
Yeah.
about. That would be a
Yeah.
good way to keep the cameo going because you don't need any voice work or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You just need a figure in the background.
Yes, that's what they should do. I'm going to be mad if they don't do it.
They won't.
They won't.
Like I said, that's not going to happen. But that's
will
what
not.
should happen.
But it should happen. Now I'm mad it's not going to happen. Great. My whole day is ruined.
Sorry.
It's okay. So
But yeah, I don't know where they would be leading to.
I don't either. Like, what, are they just going to go in and, like, annihilate all the Watchers to save Uatu?
Yeah, he's the good one.
but how would they even do
Like,
that?
it's not right. Like, it's not even like he's kind of in the wrong. His job is just to watch.
But he's got a heart.
Watch
He's
him bring in
interfering.
the mech suits again, and
Ugh.
we're back to that. That's what I'm worried about. It's like, I don't know why you guys are pushing this so hard.
Ooh, they send Uatu to just go work at the TVA. He's like, if you like to interfere so much, you can just prune timelines.
I mean, I would appreciate him in the new TVA comic book. So,
Which I still haven't started. I need
It's
to.
so
We
good.
have it. It's literally in
It
my
is.
eyesight. It's behind our laptop.
It's so good. It's phenomenal.
yeah,
I
I
loved it.
even wrote into Marvel as like, this needs to be an ongoing thing. It's like,
Yeah,
you had
and
me
the
at
girl
issue
who
1.
wrote it, it was her first comic she wrote.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, it's good we're getting new comic talent because the comic industry ain't doing too hot right now.
It's nice, and it's the usual comic talent is kind of aging. So it's like,
Mhm.
let's bring some new blood in here. But anyways, we talked about Storm, we talked about Birdie, we talked about Cohorty?
Yes.
Yes, and
Little bit.
Vaguely. Yeah.
Captain
They didn't
Carter.
do much with her this episode other than her portals, but
But I thought we got way more than I thought we would get. I was afraid it would just be
Yes.
like a Moon Knight in the first episode kind of thing. That's what I was worried
Mhm.
about.
well, she's
This
coming
was-
back for the next episode.
Yeah, she
Thank
had some action.
The Lord. But this was actually one of the shorter episodes of the season. How long do we think tomorrow's is going to be?
I
2
mean-
hours.
Listen, guys.
I mean,
if
it
it's
would
at
be
2
nice
hours,
if it was like.
if it's at 2 hours, I'm not recording at 10. I'm gonna tell you that right
Right,
now.
No, I think they're going to keep it around a half hour. I think that if they were going to do a long episode for the finale, they would have just looped this episode into the finale if they weren't worried about the time.
Or maybe that's why the last episode is longer. And they didn't do a 2-episode finale.
Because they don't want you to know it's a 2-parter.
But it says to be continued.
But
But like maybe this last episode is longer, and that's why it isn't a 2-episode finale. in the
you
same
have to
day.
see, they're not giving you any description of the episode, nothing before it drops.
No.
Like, you only get the name. So
Yeah.
if you got the time and you saw this episode was 40-something minutes, you're like, okay, 2-parter episode. Because they are stupidly secret about What If. Which is like, I'm sorry, this season did not have the audacity or anything. Well, the audacity of them to have this season be such a secret when it's like, this is your least strong season, I think.
Yeah.
So-
Well, not only that, but like, okay, so you can keep secrets. So
Bro.
why is there always?
Well, it's a lot easier to keep animated secrets than because most of the leaks are from people sniping into shooting,
Yeah,
like live
but-
action.
Well, that and the voice actors usually don't know what's going on. Like, I keep bringing up X-Men
They don't get
97, but
every page
it's
of
like,
the script.
but like it's the most recent thing. The
Yeah.
voice actors had no idea the scene. They didn't know who they were in scene with. They didn't know what they were saying to any of it. So they're like, you just kind of had a guess, and you were right. I think they're doing.
But I
they do
hate
the
that
same thing.
because then I feel like you can't really do your job. Like, part of acting is knowing the context and knowing what all emotions are going through it. And I know it's voice work, but it is a skill to put all of that into the line delivery.
Sure, they're
I agree.
directed on like What's the feel of the scene?
The feel of the scene is purple. Purple with a little bit of sad. Like, I don't think you can properly do your job if you don't understand the circumstances.
I agree.
Like, you can generally act sad, generally act angry, but there's no nuance in it if you don't understand.
Fair.
So that makes me angry.
I agree.
Let them do their job.
There was a
They're not gonna like
multitude
it.
of things that were going on during that, like COVID. They could not record together. None of them did. And then you have Marvel's so crazy on keeping secrets, which, like, they've been burned pretty badly before, but it was to the point, like, the actors didn't even know they were auditioning for X-Men. They didn't know until they got the role, and then sometime after, they didn't know. And with this, they didn't want people to know who was on the team, who was in the show, what cameos would happen, none of that. And it's like, there had to be a better way to do it, though, because, like, you're putting people in a weird position.
Yeah.
Anywho, what do we give this episode?
You can go first since you went first yesterday, I think.
8.5.
8.5. That's a good one.
That's a lot higher than your negative 100 yesterday.
It was 4.5 yesterday.
What a few points.
In a shock, I'm actually going to go to a 9.
Okay. All right, that's good. I'd say 9.
Megan's going to go 2.
0.1. It was going to be 2, but I realized I do that too much. So 9.1. Okay. That's a strong episode, it looks like, fellas.
Now
All
let's see
right.
if they can deliver it. It
I
was a good setup.
I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Sticking the landing is really, really difficult, especially for an animated show, but also for a Marvel animated show. And especially
Listen,
for a
Megan,
season
you have
that
to trust
hasn't...
Natasha. She knows what she's doing.
This mother...
She won't let you down.
This freaking guy said earlier in this episode, it's not about the actor.
She will stick the landing. Though.
We've talked about her more than we talked about Storm, Captain Carter. She
deserves it.
She's the official mascot of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
That's all I wanted from this season, to be honest. We can just discard the rest now.
So that's our episode. Stick around for tomorrow as we review the last episode, and then keep an eye out for when we go live to discuss the whole season. Wherever you're watching or listening to this episode, please be sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our reviews or all the exciting content in between. Wen, LJ, where can we find you?
You can find us primarily on YouTube and Facebook. Just give a search for Bleeding Rainbow Comics, or go to anything Vigilante Vibes. We're tagged in like every post that we take place in. So click us from there, send us a message, say hi, tell us we're doing great, and that Wendell's a handsome boy. But yeah.
And you can find me everywhere by searching Vigilante Vibes Podcast, or to make it easy, you can just check my website, VigilanteVibes.com. Thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow. Have a marvelous day.
Bye.